Church, are y'all ready to do this thing for Nashville one last time? Baby, I got my notes. I hope y'all got yours. Let's get on into this damn mess one more again. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Can y'all hear me out there? Listen to my returning church members, baby. Welcomes. And to all my new people, please, baby, please make sure to smash that subscribe button and to also click that bell notification so you are notified every time I decide to upload a video. Now, baby, listen, my outfit and my spirit today, honey, is giving flowers, okay? And that's because flowers serve a dual purpose, okay? You give flowers to commemorate the beginning as well as the ending of things. You give flowers to commemorate good things as well as bad, okay? So as our couples end one chapter and begin another, honey, we are giving them their flowers today, all right? Now listen, in order to get started here, first we got to do some church announcements real quick, y'all. I just want to apologize in advance if there are any sound issues with today's video. Okay, baby, listen, you know, my neighbors every Thursday decide to get their damn lawn cut. And so you might hear some, you know, lawn cutting sounds in the background. You would think that would galvanize me to, baby, get the video done sooner. It never does. Okay, listen, one time for the procrastinators, right? But also there's supposed to be some thunderstorms here today. So if y'all hear a whole bunch of rumbling in the background, that's basically what that is. But we finna to push through. Okay, so look at your neighbor and say push through, and if you're by your damn self, y'all know what to do as well. All right, now listen, in terms of this episode, y'all, we gonna approach it a little bit different, okay? Normally we start with our hot topics. Today I'm actually gonna start with the general couple updates first, because I think that sets the stage for the hot topics that come later, because 95% of this episode was pretty much based in hot topics in terms of different occurrences that happened. And so I think that the general couple updates help to set the stage a bit better, right? So let's get started with the couple of the hour, baby, and let's start with Kirsten and Shaquille, okay? So first off, Shaq is dating, right? And not Kirsten, right? So am I surprised? No. Listen, that man has settled down in Austin, Texas for his new job. And what do you do when you settle down in a new city? Okay, you explore the city, you start, getting on the dating apps and the dating scene, and you start going out on dates and having fun with people. So I don't think he's doing anything out of the ordinary that a normal person would do when they're in a new city, okay? Now, in terms of our second point, we find out that Shaq didn't pursue Kirsten post-reunion. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. Y'all, that damn 2-part reunion was a pressure cooker experience if I've ever seen one, okay? Listen, how you know that it wasn't based in anything in terms of all the revelations that came out between Shaq and Kirsten is because it was such a pressurized environment, okay? Listen, you basically had Kevin giving them pressure, the other couples giving them pressure, you had, the experts giving them pressure, and so you kind of had them end up in a situation where they were trying to make everybody else happy while just trying to tread water themselves, okay? So am I surprised that it didn't really result in any sort of, actual longevity-based connection post-decision day, or post the reunion? Absolutely not, okay? Because when you try to force something and bring something out of somebody, the natural inclination is that once you get past that, you rebel and you go back to what your main priority or your main objective was, right? Which was just for Shaq to try to become friends with Kirsten and see where that goes, okay? So I'm not surprised that he didn't pursue her post-reunion, although it seems like they did go out for that dinner that he said they were going to go out for, right? Now, in terms of near to the end of the episode, they talked about the situation where, Shaq said some very prophetic words, I thought, and he said, only they understand their relationship, right? And to me, honey, truer words have never been spoken, okay? I think that, Personally, I don't see it for Shaq and Kirsten in terms of, a future remix. Y'all know I don't do remix relationships. It's a little bit different in terms of this situation when you're married at first sight and it's a 2-month pressure cooker type experiment. But, I don't personally see it for them. But what I do support between Shaq and Kirsten is them figuring out their story on their own, okay? You can't do it for Kevin. You can't do it for the other couples. You can't do it for the experts. You can't do it for the people people at home, you can't do it for your friends and family, okay? I support y'all, deciding what y'all relationship is going to be to each other and proceeding forward with that, whatever that should mean, okay? Whether that means that y'all are fenced to be, friends, a little bit more than friends, y'all, hop into each other's cities whenever you have time. Y'all define what y'all relationship is. Y'all have had so many people's opinions in terms of what it is and what it's not and what it should be that, the only thing I support in the Shaq and Kirsten scenario is y'all figuring out what y'all relationship is for yourselves, okay? And it seems that by the end of the episode, they had reached that conclusion as well, and they seem to be proceeding forward with that, right? Now let's move on to Airris and Jasmine, right? So Airris is dating, but no one's serious. Am I surprised? No. It's very rare to hop out of one, tumultuous situation or one, semi-long-term situation and jump right back into another one. So personally, if you didn't end up with a damn spouse on decision day, I would say you should just date around for a while, which it seems like, that's what Airris is doing. So I support it, right? In terms of Jasmine, we find out that Jasmine and Friend Boy, and y'all know Friend Boy is the dude she dated after Airris, who later became her man. So do we call him Friend Man or do we call her boyfriend? Y'all drop down in the comments and let me know what y'all think, right? But Jasmine and Friend Boy seem to still be going strong. So good for her, okay? Listen, I think that Friend Boy or boyfriend or her man, quote unquote, my man, is, the best outcome she could have after the tumultuous season that she's been through, okay? So, listen, it seems great when you are finally with somebody that you're on the same page with, you want to have a family, they want to have a family. You want to have kids, they want to have kids. You want to be married, they want to be married. So, I think that it's great, provided that they're on the same page in terms of what they're doing. I said before, jumping into another situation right after seems a little bit dodgy, but listen, sometimes you have to go through a whole bunch of pain in order to find out that the person that you were supposed to be with might have been around the entire time, in some respect, in some way, shape, or form, right? Now, the other thing I want to talk about Jasmine and Friend Boy is this whole thing about Friend Boy not wanting to be involved in the show, okay? And I think that's great. I think it's a mutual thing, right? Jasmine didn't want to expose this man to this show, right, before she knew what it was going to be between the two of them. And the dude doesn't seem to have any inclination to want to be on the show in any respects, and even wanting to learn about the show or hear about the show. So they kind of keep it, like the separation of church and state, I guess, in a household or however their living situation is structured. So I think that's a good thing, okay? Listen, Jasmine has been through this 2-month experience, plus, the reunion, the where are they now stuff. And so I don't think she needs anybody even tangentially associated with this show in her personal life going forward, other than, the other wives that she's made friends with, and they can continue their situation, right? So good for you, Jasmine. Good for you and Friend Boy, and I hope y'all will still keep going strong, and I hope that, the relationship ends up being exactly what you wanted it to be and more, okay? Now let's move on to Clint and Gina, and let's talk about Clint being in love. Listen, it seems like the majority of these couples done just jumped into, new situations right afterwards, and everybody, in an exclusive situation saying that they, loosely like this person, maybe throwing around love bombs. Well, apparently Clint and this, unnamed lady that we don't know yet, but that Nicole has met, is throwing around the L word. Okay, so, I think it's great. After a tumultuous situation, finding a person that, likes redheads, and has that level of attraction for you, I think that is great. And y'all listen, was it me or was Clint looking extra good this episode? I don't know what it was. Maybe it was excuse me, y'all. Maybe it was the glow of, being loosely in love. Maybe it was the glow of being out of that damn situation with Gina. But listen, Clint was looking good. His hair was looking good. He was cooking good. Okay. When he pulled up in that Porsche, I said, you know what? Listen. When a man pulls up in an exotic car, you be like, oh, he is really doing well. I started going down the list. Listen, Clint seems to have multiple cars, okay? He loves boating. He has 2 boats, if I'm not mistaken, okay? So he has multiple cars. He got 2 boats. He got a good job, okay? He got a good sense of humor, good style. I'm like, listen, I might need to give a little, Gordon's Fisherman Bay the time of day, okay? So listen, thank you, Clint, for expanding my mind, and I'm glad that you you are in love or, throwing around the L word, and it's going great for you and the unnamed lady that Nicole seems to like, okay? So now let's move on to Gina. So, surprise, surprise, Gina ends up in a long-term situation as well, right? So apparently Gina done spun the block, okay? Which seems to be like, the narrative of this season post decision day in terms of everybody spinning the block in their lives with, past people. But apparently this is somebody that Gina has known for the past 10 years. Okay. So just like that whole, Jasmine situation, I look around and here you go, listen, in the eternal words of Deborah Cox, honey, nobody's supposed to be here, but here you are, so I think that that's great. Right now, the funniest part about Gina's situation, right, to me is when she was sitting down with the men and they was talking about how, a lot of the people are getting up in situations because they send in, the Airris hey big head text, which is basically when you try to spin the block with your ex, see if you can check in with them and see if they're willing to, go down the road of the BS one more again. Okay. And so, she has a little Freudian slip of the tongue, right? When she said he basically sent me a hey big head, but instead of saying that, she said he sent me a hey big dick. I said, oh, wait a minute. Okay. Listen, let us find out, Gina, that you having a good old time. Okay. Post decision day, post where are they now, and post, your life on this damn show. Listen, ain't nothing wrong with a big one, Gina, but listen, there can be too big. So just make sure that whichever one you settle down with, honey, that you okay with taking that thing every day. Okay. That's people don't realize, okay? Because sometimes you can have one that's a museum piece, which means that you look at that thing down to the museum once or twice a year, okay? So I hope he, you say he big in terms of your Freudian slip. Hopefully he not too big, and hopefully, mama, just like the three, Goldilocks and the Three Bears, he is just right for you, okay? Now let's move on to Dom and Mac, right? And we find out that Dom is dating a 25-year-old exclusively, right? So Dom is 26, the man is 25. So I guess Dom is loosely robbing the cradle. I don't know if you can really, call it that. But I think that that's great for Dom. Listen, in the eternal words of Wendy Williams, your 20s are made for dipping it and doing it, okay? I think that Dom made a mistake, coming on this show. And to her credit, her mama is the one that signed her up for it. So I think she's kind of getting back in the groove of where she should be as a 26-year-old woman, okay? Is dating, is loving them and leaving them, is figuring out your career, figuring out your life, and moving forward with that, right? Now listen, another point, a little bit of a lesser one, was when the episode first started and everybody was showing up to the little house that they, I guess had rented for this excursion or whatever, and the big old Dodge Ram pickup truck pulled up, didn't y'all think one of the men was gonna jump out of it? Okay, baby, I was so surprised when Dom hopped out that big old truck. But listen, my mind and my worldview has been changed about women and big cars and big trucks or whatever, because you got these small little petite women in these huge ass SUVs, trucks, etc., right? But my Aunt Rhonda is a small woman, probably about like 5'6", 5'7", or whatever, right? And she bought herself this big old black on black, a dual cab Dodge Ram pickup truck. And I went to her one day and I said, Aunt Rhonda, girl, why you got this big old truck? Like, what does this do for you? And she said these words, which I will never forget. Well, I got it because I'm country. And that's how she grew up. She grew up with that whole country mindset where people drive pickup trucks, and that's, they call, the pickup trucks, I think they call them cowboy limousines, okay? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I believe they call them cowboy limousines, and them things be laid out. Now, I think Dom's truck is part of her job, so I think it's like a work vehicle, but she, I think she calls her truck Big Daddy, and I guess, she's indoctrinated it into her life. So good for you, Dom, okay? You got the 26-year-old or the 25-year-old man in terms of the cradle that you robbing. You got your Big Daddy truck. It seems like things are getting on the right path for you in your life. So I think that that's great, okay? And in terms of Mackinley, Mac is dating, but not Gina. But we'll talk about Mac and Gina in the hot topic section, okay? But, Mac is in Michigan doing his, cannabis business and marketing that and whatever. And so he's loosely dating, nobody of any significant importance. He's just getting back out there in the dating scene. So good for him. And for Nicole and Chris, y'all, just to wrap this thing up, they still married. So Good job. They seem to be the one success from this damn season. So I'm glad they're still married and still going strong. But listen, y'all, this is a lesser point, and I debated whether or not I was going to talk about this. But as a person who comes from a place of fatness myself, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. Okay, y'all, was it me? Or did y'all think that Chris looked a little bit awkward in his tight green shirt when the episode first started, okay? Just a little bit. Listen, y'all, I come from a place of fatness as well. When I was younger, baby, I was swole, okay? In the entire meanings of the word, okay? And the only reason I lost weight, I think it was a dual thing. I got taller, right? Because I'm 6 foot, so I got taller. And then also my parents found out very early on that I was motivated by money, child. So they paid me $25 per pound. I do not recommend doing that for your children, okay? But listen, part of your job as a parent is to find out what motivates your children, okay? And if it's money, honey, pay them people if it makes sense given the circumstance, okay? And they paid me. But listen, I understand that whole thing of when, because even Chris said he's trying to get his body back together, okay? And I fully support that, and I fully understand that struggle, and I wish you nothing but luck, okay? But if I could give you one piece of advice during this little awkward transitional stage in your life, Chris, in terms of, your weight, just buy a shirt one size bigger, honey. It solves a lot of problems. People think that it's like, admitting defeat in terms of your weight, but I think sometimes feeling awkward and trying to squeeze into your old clothes that don't seem to really fit anymore is more a sign of defeat than anything, because it kind of depresses you on the back end. Listen, child, I have been there, okay? When your stomach and your fupa is basically having fellowship and you looking down like, what is this, Lord, honey? Jesus, please be a stretch shirt, okay? I understand it. So I'm not going to stay on it for too long because I don't want this to turn into any sort of body shaming thing, because I don't mean that, in any way, shape, or form. But Chris, I understand the struggle, and, good luck to you as you get back in the gym, as you get back to, better health or a better fitness journey for yourself, okay? Now, y'all, at long last, honey, let's get down to these hot topics, right? And first and foremost, we got to talk about this. Y'all, was it me? I feel like I keep saying that multiple times this episode. Was it me, or was this the least drama-filled Where Are They Now episode that you have ever seen ever in life? Okay, I was literally tapping my damn veins at a certain point saying, am I still alive? Am I still awake? Wake up. Like, I was like, is nothing there? There's no drama. Everybody is in a good place. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's happy. Like, there's no real residual drama going on. I was like, okay. But listen, in going with that, listen, Married at First Sight producers, y'all could have skipped that entire first hour, okay? Because didn't nothing happen in the entire first hour. I think probably by maybe like the 2-minute mark, in terms of like the 58-minute mark at the end of the first hour, is when stuff started happening. But the first episode just seemed to be, or the first hour rather, just seemed to be them setting the stage for the stuff that was going to happen in the second hour. So I guess if y'all felt like that was the best methodology to go through, I support it. But y'all could have saved us an hour of time that we'll never get back in our lives with all y'all trying to set the stage for the events, okay? And y'all drop down in the comments and let me know if y'all agree, if y'all could have skipped that first hour too, because I could have not watched the first hour, watched the second hour, and got the entire gist of the Where Are They Now episode, okay? No lie, no cap. Now let's move on to the social media comments, right? So the couple sit down and they start just talking about how, now that they're in this kind of quasi or pseudo famous space because of the show, their DMs are popping, but also in negative ways in terms of like the comments that people leave for them in the negative space, right? Now, what I found interesting though is that though everybody seems to, get the DMs and the social media interest, it seemed like to me, and y'all could drop down and let me know if y'all felt this too, but the women were kind of getting it harder than the men, okay? That's what it kind of seemed to me. Like the men would get some sort of pushback in terms of, is Airris always sexual? Them feeling a certain way about, Shaq or whatever. But it seemed like the lion's share of complaints were coming from the women in terms of the vitriol that they were getting down to social media. Right? But listen, the way I feel about it is this, honey, heavy is the head that wears the crown, okay? Y'all decided to get on TV. Y'all decided to, share your lives in this way in order to find love. And the basic, downside to that is, when you put your life out there for public consumption, and listen, even I understand it with, and to a lesser extent in terms of my own YouTube channel, when you put your life out there for public consumption, baby, you have to then accept the consequences and the benefits from that action, okay? You accept the good and the bad, okay? You can't have, sunshine without the damn rain. So it happens, okay? And I think the best thing to do is to just try to not read as many as you can, because they'll just continually make you mad, make you pissed off, and make your day not go that well, okay? So listen, take, the constructive criticism ones in and ignore the rest, okay? Because I think the most important thing in life is to find and keep your peace. And if going through the social media comments and the vitriol that you're getting is impacting your life in a bad way, then you kind of have to cut it just a little bit, okay? I think the grand scheme of this is that since y'all are only, tangentially famous through this show, it's going to pass, right? Like eventually the conversation is going to move on, right? Eventually new seasons are going to happen. Girl, give it, 1 or 2 seasons. And I don't think that y'all will have the same vitriol or the same level of interest, that you currently have right now. But you have it right now because it's fresh, right? So listen, it ain't like y'all got, mixtapes coming out or your album fence to drop or you acting in a new show. So for the lion's share of you, I think that, it's going to go back to regular life probably sooner rather than later. Now, in terms of the comments that I want to talk about, or the people's experiences that I want to talk about the most, Nicole said that she gets a lot of hate in terms of, you ain't really in love with Chris, y'all ain't really good together and stuff like that. That's par for the course, okay? One thing people love to do is tear down a good situation sometimes, okay? And so that's why y'all have to stay secure in terms of what you are to one another, because if you start reading all the comments and you start living your life of social media, your relationship is going to end before you damn well know it, okay? So Nicole got that thing where she's like a pseudo masochist, where she like to close the door, pull up her damn iPad and read the comments and shout at them. I don't think that's healthy, and this is why I keep saying this, okay? For one last time, Nicole, you need to run, not walk down to the therapist office, honey, because any therapist worth their damn salt would tell you that's not a worthwhile expenditure of your damn time, okay? Now let's move on to Dom. I'm not surprised Dom gets hate comments, okay? Because people felt like Dom, gave up early and she didn't, see the process through. So I'm not surprised by that as well. Dom, same thing I done told y'all before. Y'all are only tangentially famous through this damn show. The conversation will eventually, move on and you gonna be fine, okay? The best thing I could tell you, mama, is don't go into them DMs, okay? Do not go into them damn DMs, okay? Because the only thing up in there is people trying to look at your breasts, probably trick you or offer you into something or give you hate, okay? So stay out of them comments as much as you can and preserve your peace, because you have a lot of great things happening in your life right now. And the one that, took me by the most surprise, not really surprised, but it kind of makes sense, was that Gina was getting a lot of hate regarding her damn salon, right? So the people that didn't like Gina was not only attacking her, honey, they was attacking the salon, okay? So listen, Gina, heavy is the head that wears the crown. When the stuff wasn't working out with Clint, you pivoted to kind of like promoting your salon, and in going with that, you kind of made it public knowledge what the salon's name was, that it was down to Nashville. So I'm sure it only took a hop, skip, and a Google search to find out, where it was actually located and where the damn Google page was and where the people could start giving reviews. But listen, I was hoping that they would tell us what some of the comments were in terms of the hate comments people was leaving. Like, in my mind, because y'all know I got ADD and I just start imagining stuff, it was probably like, that lady messed up my blowout, honey. She put magic hair in and it was dull. The magic wasn't magicking, okay? Listen, she need to do better down to that damn salon since she promoted it so much. No, I'm just joking, Gina. I'm just joking. I'm just, doing this little, side thing to be going on in my head, okay? But clearly, you've been in business. You built this business up. It's very germane to you and it's very important to you. So I do hope that just like the other couples, the interest kind of dies down after a while and they don't attack something that's so important to you. Because at the end of the day, if they attack in the salon and they giving, bad Google reviews, bad Yelp reviews, that's hurting your bottom line, okay? And that's going to mess up with the bag. So I hope that clears out, and I hope that, as the comments and the bad comments come in, honey, you got somebody that's down there deleting them or responding to them or flagging them as inappropriate. Do whatever you have to do to promote and to protect, rather, the number one thing in your life right now besides the man with, big dick energy that you got in your bed, honey, which would be your salon. Okay. Now let's move on to Clint's Drunk Olympics, right? Now, what a fun little exercise, okay? Y'all, I have never played any sort of drunk Olympics-based games, but I did play Cards Against Humanity when we was drinking Moscato, so that's not the same because we didn't have to, get up and do a whole bunch of exercises, but I just thought that, since this episode wasn't drama-filled, it was actually very fun-filled, okay? And it was great to see people getting along, having a good time, drinking, carrying on, having, little games in, the hills of Nashville, Tennessee, out to this damn house where they had all these things set up. So I thought it was great. And, it was awesome that Clint was able to share that with people in terms of something from his college days, in terms of the drunk Olympics or these drunk exercises that he brought to the couple. So really, really fun time. Now, our next hot topic, baby, is let's talk about how Mac didn't pursue Gina. Listen, you want to talk about a scene that had me laughing, okay? Am I surprised that Mac didn't pursue Gina? No, okay? Because they said they was going, have a date after the thing. They was going to get together, try to see what it was. I told y'all last time, you cannot build your happiness on the back of someone else's misfortune. And I think the most telling sentence in terms of the Mac and Gina exchange was when Gina said, "Did you have butterflies when I would reach out to you?" And he said, yeah, but it was mostly anxiety. And like harbingers of doom type thing, where every time she reached out, he would literally start feeling nervous in terms of what that meant and in terms of whether he was truly invested in the situation or whether she was truly invested in the situation, right? So listen, I think it's probably for the best. I don't believe in starting a situation in such messy circumstances, given, what y'all both went through on the show, as well as how this relationship came about. Not really the relationship came about before decision day, but how Matt kind of jumped the gun in trying to get this started before decision day even happened, okay? So I think that probably a bit of his anxiousness and a bit of the, anxiety and doubt he was feeling in his stomach every time Gina would reach out is probably because, in a way, he probably knew he was wrong. This was built on shaky footing, and a house built on shaky footing, honey, can never stand. So I'm not surprised that Mac didn't pursue Gina. I'm just glad that, they both seem to have found their happiness after the show, with Mac and his job and dating, and Gina finding her man with, big dick energy. Why do I keep saying that? I'm going to say BDE, okay? I'm trying to be classy based on this damn episode, okay? Finding her man with BDE and fighting the people down to the people making bad comments about her salon. Let's move off of them, okay? Now, let's move on to Chef Clint, okay? Now, listen. Y'all, I said this back, I think in kind of like the middle of the season when the couples went on their retreat or whatever. But Clint, you are literally missing your calling when it comes to cooking, okay? They always say that your passion in life and thing that you're the best at is something that you would do whether or not you were getting paid for it or not, okay? And for me and for Clint, that literally seems to be for you, Clint, that it's cooking, okay? You seem to have a passion for it. You seem to be excellent at it. You made a whole 5-course meal, tied it into the other couples' personalities and stories, and you had, basically anecdotes in terms of what you said down to each course. So I thought it was great. The funny thing though is Clint is the type of cook that be saying he want help, but he don't really want help, okay? Because the other couple, the other husbands and wives or whatever, were basically saying, Clint's always saying that he needs help and stuff, and we say, "Do you need help, Clint?" And he's like, "No, I got it. So, I guess he just needs help plating stuff and cutting stuff when it's already done. So y'all just be there for Clint when he actually needs you in like a sous chef capacity. But listen, the thing that tickled me the most about that thing is when Clint decided to give, what was his name? When Clint decided to give Chris the chocolate souffle to make. Listen, Clint, if you are this master chef, exactly why would you give somebody the damn, dessert round that has to rise and has all these complex pieces that need to be included properly in order for the end result to be fine, okay? Listen, when that man was in there trying to whisk that stuff together, when he got to like the midpoint of it and Clint was like, I mean, I guess I can fix it up. Oh yeah, it's okay. It won't be that bad. I was like, if you wanted a sous chef, you should have had, Chris, chopping up tomatoes, chopping up onions, maybe stirring the pot. I'm very good at stirring the pot. You could have had him stirring your pot, taking things in and out of the oven or something like that. So I just thought it was funny that Clint said he needed help, but, he didn't really want help. And then he gave a very complicated dessert to Chris. It just seemed like a 3-ring circus, but, at the end of the day, it ended well, and that's what matters, okay? Now, in going along with the Chef Clint portion of our program, so each course of the meal tied to a different couple. And y'all, they were all great, but I think the one that touched me the most was, the comments that Shaq gave for Airris, or actually the comments that they gave for each other, really. Now, I know that they're not a couple or whatever, and it wasn't, on that tip or whatever, but it just really, like, if you think about it, y'all, in the current climate that we live in the current world that we live in, men showing affection to other men, people start thinking that they're gay, or people start thinking that they're a little bit suspect, or, what do the people say in my comments sometimes down to TikTok? Why you acting so zesty? Child, this is why I don't read comments, because it just depresses you, okay? But listen, I just loved that, I'm sure all of the men are friends in some capacity, but there has to be a special bond in terms of being the only 2 black dudes down to the experiment that year or whatever. So they probably naturally gravitated towards each other. They probably naturally had some commonalities in terms of their upbringing and their stories. And it was really great that they were able to build a friendship and support each other through, the process. And I thought one of the most interesting things was on the back end, it seemed like Airris was actually a very big emotional tie for the men, right? So you wouldn't actually think that. Like, it seems like, Airris was a person that was telling people it was a safe space to show your emotions. It's safe to basically display your emotions, to have feelings, and to tell people about them and stuff. And so you wouldn't necessarily think that would come from Airris, given what we saw on the front end, where it's all the bravado, where it's all the, random comments, where it's all the overt sexuality. So maybe in a way, that's kind of like a screen, right? To kind of, you have to break down the walls of that in terms of the bravado, the overt sexuality, to get to the sensitive person inside, right? So listen, I thought that there were beautiful words that Airris was telling to Shaq, and that Shaq was telling to Airris. And listen, it may have been just me, but I was literally zoomed into my TV waiting for the tear to fall out of Airris's face, okay? It was a very emotional moment. He seemed to be choked up, but a tear didn't fall. I was like, I know they're not actors, but I just was hoping for a little tear. So drop down in the comments if y'all was hoping for a little tear as well. You could have kept it as a thug tear, Airris, okay? Just one little singular tear that just escapes just a little bit, but maybe I was asking too much, okay? And now let's move on to kind of around the end of the episode, where the couples were kind of doing this little lemonade bar type, alcohol bar down to the middle of the yard, right? So, yeah, like I said, the episode was kind of like the least drama-filled episode, but it seems like towards the end, a lot of the little, drama things started playing out, right? So I think it was Nicole. Of course, it was probably Nicole who was like, does anybody have anything to get off their chest? Speak now or forever hold your peace, right? And Dom says out of nowhere, okay, after, she has the whole exchange with Mac in terms of their relationship and how, each one of them could try more. Dom says that she feels left out in terms of the groups with the other women, okay? She feels like y'all schedule stuff without her. Y'all tell her that y'all gonna do stuff, and then y'all do it earlier in the afternoon when she can't do it or something like that, or do it without her. And she feels a certain way about it. Now, listen, I think it's a situation where you can't have it both ways, Dom. I'm sorry. You can't leave the process after 12 days, honey, and think that you're going to have the same bond with the women who was there for the entire 2 months, okay? It doesn't work that way. And honestly and truthfully, I don't think the other women are doing it on purpose, right? I don't think this is a sort of concerted effort between, all of them to say, we're going to leave Dom out, we're going to schedule stuff. But listen, when you've gone through something as tumultuous as Married at First Sight and the entire 8-week process or whatever, you probably naturally have a deeper bond with the other wives that saw the process through than you do with the one that only was there for, 12 days. So, I think you have to kind of meter your expectations a bit. But listen, the thing about Dom sometimes that I don't like is that she'll say stuff and then she tries to walk it back, right? She says she feels left out. She feels a certain way. She wants to be included. But then she says, oh, it's okay. Oh, it's fine. Oh, but I'm really good. No, you're not. Okay. Listen, it's okay to stand in your emotions and to stand in the uncomfortableness of it. Okay. So listen, if you were truly okay, you wouldn't have brought it up. So the fact that you did bring it up means that it should be addressed. And it seems like even though the other ladies were slightly taken off guard about it or whatever, they all seemed, inclined to include you going forward and to make a substantiated effort to include you going forward. So listen, a closed mouth doesn't get fed, and Dom, you opened your mouth, so hopefully you get fed in terms of being more included with the other wives, their group chats and their activities or whatever, right? It's just going to take a little bit of time because y'all don't have the same level of comfort as the rest of them do. So you kind of have to meet your expectations just a little bit, right? And last but not least, y'all, let's talk about this casino Bday send-off. Now, listen, I was expecting to actually see some casino games and maybe they were pressed for time or whatever. But listen, maybe y'all could have took some of that damn hour, okay, that was a waste of time in the beginning, and put some damn casino games toward the end. But it was really to celebrate, Shaq and Airris' birthdays, which were either, I guess, on the same day or somewhere, tangentially near each other, right? So a great moment with them just, sending each other off, giving each other praises, wishing, I think Kirsten developed this whole casino night, even though we didn't see the casino portion of the night, but everybody was dressed nice. Airris had his little sash on. Everybody looked nice, okay? What was I about to say? Everybody looked nice. And I love that Kirsten basically had personalized cards for both, Shaq and Airris. So that was a nice little touch, nice little classy touch. And y'all, a little lesser point, but do y'all think that Jasmine has really stepped up her fashion post decision day? It just seems like every single time you see Jasmine post decision day or whatever, not that she wasn't fresh during the season or whatever, but she seems to be putting a little extra on it every single time she's around the couples now or whatever. So I don't know if that's just, her, reading the comments, feeling a certain way and wanting to feel better about herself in terms of upgrading, the way she looks at every juncture or whatever. But listen, she was slaying every look, from the dressed up looks to the dressed down looks to the sweatpants looks. Jasmine, you had it going on in terms of the style and the fashion. So I thought that you were looking really good, and I'm glad that kind of reflects this newness of life that you seem to be going through right now. And listen, when you look good, you feel good, which is why I dress up for y'all all the time, right? But y'all, I think that's really all I want to say down to this damn Where Are They Now episode. So if you liked what I said, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all social media at DatDamnDasher. And until next time, y'all, thank y'all so much for watching this season of Married at First Sight. Thank y'all so much for watching my reviews of this season of Married at First Sight. Thank y'all so much for commenting, for liking the video, for going back and forth with me, for building our congregation and community. I truly appreciate it. Stay tuned. I don't know if I'm reviewing the next season. Y'all always say that, but then y'all drag me back in, or I get bored, or I need something to review, and then I end up turning on the damn TV and loving it once again. Okay, so y'all will probably see me next season, but also drop down in the comments and let me know if there are any other shows that you want me to review. Like, I've been making notes in terms of somebody wanted me to look at Love and Lockup, so I'm gonna look at that because apparently that's coming back this month. But if you have any other suggestions, just let me know, honey. I will review it, and if you see a review on it, you know that I took your suggestion to heart. But I'll talk to y'all later, and I'll talk to y'all next season. Bye.